All right, and I think we are live. All right, what's up, duders? Ready for another round of I'd Rather Be Motivated. So I'm David Fleming. You can find me on Instagram at Art of Mr. Fleming or Mr. David Fleming around the web on Facebook and other places. But give it over to you, Scott, and you can kind of do your thing and then introduce the episode.
Hey everybody, Scott O Green here when I'm not here with I'd Rather Be Drawing. We also have I'dRatherBeDrawing.com, and on Instagram is where you'll find me the most at Mr. Green Draws. That's mr.greendraws. So for today, we're going to keep it a little bit of a quicker one. We're not going to do a whole big topic, but you know how we go. We usually end up drawing about something anyway. And depending on how the chat's going, we'll see where that goes. But we're really just going to start off with our art check-in. And what that is, we kind of got a little bit of a rubric from that, from the 48-hour art check-in by Joshua Kemble and Corey Kerr, which is you do, let's see here, your progress, your problems, and your, oh shoot, what's the third one?
Progress, problems. What is the third one? What's up with what's that?
Anyway, it's what your goals are for the next week. Progress, problems.
Projects, right?
I don't know. Anyway, we know what we're talking about. You don't worry about it.
Right.
But anyhow, so basically, David, what is your current project that you're working on? And since the last time we talked, which was, what, last Sunday or Tuesday? I forget now. But what progress have you made towards everything?
Yeah, last time we talked was just Tuesday, so it's only an extra or 2 less days than usually between our check-ins, but it feels like so much longer for some reason. But progress, I finished my poster. I had my sale yesterday. Things went really well. It was fun. It was fun doing like a fundraiser, something for charity kind of thing, and not just like for my own benefit. It was good. I met a lot of people. It definitely wasn't really my crowd, I would say, is a good way of putting it. A lot more of the vendors and the booths all around me were like crafty, kind of like sale things, because it was just kind of like a vendor event. It wasn't like a convention. It definitely taught me like knowing my audience, if that kind of makes sense. But I met a lot of good people, and I've already made some like kind of fun after the fact connections and stuff. So that'll be fun. I have cleared out my schedule except for commissions now, basically, and I'm really excited to kind of push forward with that. So it feels good to kind of clear off kind of the old stuff and be ready to push for some new stuff in these next couple of weeks. How about you?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say that's really cool that you did that event, and it sounds like it all went well. Even if it had gone, quote unquote, not well, it all sounds like a pretty cool thing to be a part of. But the prints that you're working on, we're all pretty sweet, so way to go there.
Yeah, thanks, man.
For me, I've been sort of bulldozing ahead on Mr. Green's Monster Zine, because I'm really wanting to be rolling in on October, which is my pumpkin-headed monster character. But the kind of previous project, I've been feeling like in that state of wrapping it up for a while, so I've just been bulldozing on that to get it done. And after we get off here, I'll actually be able to kind of hit the finalized things on the order for the book. It's going to be in a full color zine, sized, about the size of like this right here. So it'll be a full color 32 page plus, front and back cover zine. So I'm pretty excited about that, but I got all those files ready, all the little things where I messed up in my head thinking I had the right page numbers, but also having a really idea in my head where how the page layouts were going to go, and then when I finally sat down to do it, it didn't quite mash up. So I had to either cut pages or add more pages, but kind of figure out how to structure it a little bit. So I didn't have to do much in that front, because I'm really kind of wanting to not hurry this one too much at the end so that things don't look right, but wanting to move on. But yeah. So once we get off here, I'll be able to like finalize that order. I'm pretty excited about that.
That is pretty cool. I like to hear that you've been working on that for like it feels like the right amount of time, if that makes sense. Like it feels like it's time to start seeing something from that. So I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, for sure. People have been seeing this stuff for a while, so yeah, I'm excited to be moving on. But I think it's going to be a cool thing to once again be able to hold it in your hands. So the second part of it is problems. So since we've talked, what's just been kind of your problems with getting done what you need to get done?
Well, I actually did have kind of like a fun little epiphany. I was excited to kind of share and talk about tonight. But so problems for me is balancing like, okay, so I'm always drawing something, right? Like I'm like, I'm gonna draw these characters that I love, or the show that maybe I'm currently watching, because it's like my practice. We talked about that. Like my fan art manifests itself sort of as like the practice round of like always drawing faces over and over and over again, and that's how I get in my practice and my stuff for the big stuff, for my own personal projects kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I've been having a hard time for sure, just sort of like balancing all that lately, of like how much time do I spend on a personal project versus like this other thing that I'm doing, or getting myself ready for, you know, a sale with my own like idea or project or whatever, that like my Justice League poster thing. And I realized that what I used to do, and I don't know when I stopped or like when I kind of fell out of this flow, but I always work on more than one thing at a time. And lately I haven't been like, I've been focusing on just like one thing, like, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like when I was doing my Justice League thing, it was just, that's all I was drawing. And I think I'm going to blame this a little bit, but it happened definitely before this. But I caught that cold last month that literally held on to me for like the entire month of August, and it zapped a lot of my energy and my focus, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally did. I mean, you could tell, man, that one was just hanging on for a while, and that kind of stuff sucks.
I still have the cough too, and I don't know why. It's like I feel like 100% better. For some reason, I'm like still coughing from it too, and that's like the most.
You don't have pneumonia or something stupid.
Right, that's what. But it's like, I don't know. I've had the energy's back. Like I don't feel sick at all anymore. But man, coughing sucks. But anyways, I realized that my flow that used to keep me really productive was like, okay, so what I used to do was I'd always have a digital piece I'm working on, and then a traditional piece. So like depending on where I was at, like what I was doing at a particular time, I was either like doodling things up on the tablet, or I was working on whatever in my portfolio, and I stopped doing that. And then that's kind of like, I feel like that's when I lost my productivity. So I'm trying to get back in that flow. And what I've decided to do is not necessarily, I'm always working on a digital and a traditional piece, but I'm going to dedicate certain days of the week to the personal project versus people's commissions, or like a doodle doesn't have to do with it, basically.
That's a good idea.
So what I've decided is my, for right now, because I have about 3 or 4 commissions here now that I need to kind of get the work on and wrap them up. I had a couple people contact me like right before the sale, like the week before, and I was like, I'm actually in the middle of like this thing right now. You can wait. I'll get started on it next week. And now, so I'm there now. I need to start focusing on this stuff. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is Tuesday and Thursday every week, I'm going to make sure that I make progress towards my personal project. And then on Monday, Wednesday, Friday will be like completely for whoever's commission's next, or whatever product is next, or doodle or whatever kind of thing. And then when I'm done with my commission stuff, I'll probably swap that and do Monday, Wednesday, Friday being like all for the comic kind of thing.
That's pretty cool.
So
it's like somebody working out who does like lower body and then upper body, you know, keep yourself fresh.
It's exactly how like my brain works too. Like if I give myself like a schedule, like
it sounded like a David sort of a thing.
I stick to things so much better when I like make goals like that, and it doesn't work for some people, but it works really well for me. That's why I'm always like, ooh, there's a new art challenge, I'm in, that's totally me, like all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited to kind of see where that takes me.
That's cool.
So that's me right now. That's problems and solutions.
Nice. I dig it. If you're gonna have a problem, find a solution.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of a similar thing, not exactly a problem, and just the idea of that you're kind of talking about with having multiple projects is, yeah, like just kind of, I touched on it before, just like I want to be working on the October thing, and I like being able to switch around on different projects, which, I mean, it does make projects last longer when you're working on 3 at the same time. I mean, that just, you know, makes sense.
Yeah.
But then inevitably at some point it seems like I get to a moment in that where it's just like I just steam forward on something, you know, and until you burn out, I guess. I don't know, but it's just like the end is within sight. And so I've just completely set the other thing aside Just kind of, like when you have like problems to solve and like throughout your day, you're sort of problem solving that the whole time. Like all that brain power has gone towards just like finishing up the book, which just like I learned on the last book that I made, there's always sort of something else. Like, I don't know how many times I catch myself saying, oh yeah, it's almost done. It's almost done. It's almost done. But then there's always like, oh, but I have to go through and prepare all the files, or I have to go through and add that other layer to each of the text pages, or proofread, or 32 pages adds up.
Oh yeah, yes.
And then just the normal time stuff we talked about. You'd appreciate it because we used to work together, so you understand. But I was just because of the way stuff worked out, I was the only closing manager on Saturday night, just last night, which doesn't happen often. And I had 3 closers call in on me last night. So like that just sucked. But it's fun because, like you said, when you have like a certain goal in mind, when I know that I'm coming back to my 100 days of making comics, bing, and I get back home, like it's just a given that like I still, okay, I'm home, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, but it's time to, comic up for a little while. So,
well, I mean, like you almost make it sound like a chore, but it's kind of like it's what you've been looking forward to all day. It's the thing that brings your spirits back up, knowing that you've got that waiting for you.
Exactly, and there's always like that. That's why you can't, like, a difference between amateur artists and people who are wanting to make more out of it is not waiting for that feeling of, oh, do I feel like creating? But it's in remembering that, like, you always love creating. Even when it's hard, you love the process. So as long as you make yourself get started, you're doing good. And just things like 100 Days of Making Comics, or like the schedule that you're setting for yourself. It just makes things a given. So you're not coming home at the end of a long day, where you've been sick for like a month straight, or you've worked a long shift, and trying to make the decision of, am I going to work tonight? You just already kind of know that, oh, it's Tuesday, working on this. Oh, I got to get in my video, so. The
other end of that too is, and I still, like, you fall into this trap really easily when you like don't have that set sort of schedule thing. And it's like, you come home and you have to decide, what am I working on too? And it's like having that sort of set schedule of knowing like what your current product is, or what that day's thing's supposed to look like, is like, oh, well, like before I even, and brain power to know, like, it's comic day. Let's do this thing. What's next in the flow?
Yeah, that's a key thing. Whether you have multiple projects or just one, I think, and with budgeting time and I don't always do it. It's like I think about it all day long, and then it's almost like you're pulled in every direction. You're like, do I go left or do I go right? But yeah, really like deciding before you sit down at the drawing table as much as you can. It seems like, even if like you get inspired and you go in a completely different direction, you still are able to get to that point quicker because you already were sitting down to begin, but not sit there and go, where do I begin?
Hold on. That's better. I think I turned on one too many of my lights, and I'm like washing out my drawing here.
Oh. What are you working on, by the way?
Do what?
What are you working on, by the way?
I'm just this is my, like, to get myself kind of back in my zone. I'm just kind of having a little free draw. I just started watching the show called My Hero Academia. It's like all of my students and some of my other friends who are like super mega anime nerds were like, you got to watch this show, and I'm kind of stoked on it right now. So I'm drawing a character called All Might from it.
Nice.
But I thought, so my thing that I always do with like the characters that have less detail and are like kind of more anime, I always like put my weird realistic spin on it.
Yeah. This
character is like this super really cheesy, like idealized, like the brute strong character, He has like, his face is like real basic kind of thing, and so like I'm gonna have some fun like putting some weird teeth on him and doing my thing with it.
Adding teeth always adds a good dimension.
Oh yeah, you know my teeth. I'm all about that. It's like his character always has like a full-on smile on, so it's like it's gonna be really fun to draw.
Very toothy guy. Anyway, that's cool. Hey, I remembered what the third P was.
Say it.
I remember what the third P was. It's plans. Progress, problems, and plans.
I feel like I might have accidentally kind of like thrown that one out there with my other stuff.
Okay, well, so let's talk this. So you already said like what your plan is for your schedule and everything.
Yeah.
That means tomorrow's Monday, so that's commission work, right?
Commission work.
So what are you sitting down to do at the table tomorrow as far as commission? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I can. It's not like a secret or anything. It's just I had this one was like through a buddy of mine who like sent me, was like just basically was like he didn't have the time to do it, but he knew like that my commission load's always kind of, it's like I always have one, but you know, it's like I have this like constant thing where like as soon as I finish one, another one shows up, but I'm usually never like, it's kind of rare right now that I've got like 4 right now sitting in the little, whatever you want to call it, in the queue.
In the can or something? No, not in the can, but anyway.
Just a guy, I'm just doing like I'm redesigning like a logo for a dude who has like a marching band thing for his school.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that kind of stuff's not really my favorite. I'm trying to do less of that, but it was just kind of like, a lot of times like talking to a certain dude, like here's some advice for anybody who ever hires an artist. Like the conversation that leads up into hiring me a lot of times like makes me say yes to a job I might not have said yes to, just because like the dude just seems real level-headed and easy to talk to, or like his ideas are solid, that kind of thing, you know?
That's cool. And sometimes it is fun to push yourself, you know, outside of, you know, your comfort zone and maybe see what you learn.
Yeah. But so I'm doing that one. I got another one that's like doing somebody's character. I got 2 actually that are like basically like almost like, you know, their campaign character, like Dungeons and Dragons or the like not exactly that, but you know what I mean. Those ones are always really fun. I actually really love those. Those kind of people will give you like so many details, and it's kind of funny. Like I kind of love it. Like they'll be like, and he has a battle axe, and he like, it's like you get all these like fun details that you have to try to like work into it.
Yeah, the first commission I ever did was for like an 11 or 12-year-old, and it was for this Ninja Cat thing.
Yeah.
And he told me so many things that like I forget now, but they were things that like you couldn't draw all of them because a drawing isn't an animation.
Right.
But he's like, when he stands there, you look like this, but when he's flying through the air, this is happening, and he's got this on the back of him and this on the front, and you're like, well, you want me to draw the back of him or the front of him?
Yeah, right. There's my death cough.
Bless you.
That's super fun.
Sounds like a good place to start.
One of the first ones I ever did that was like that. The guy he did that kind of thing. He was like, he's a weapons master, and he has 2 hand axes, 1 battle axe, and 7 spears.
It would be fun because those characters always have that thing like where you can roll to see which thing you use, or even like on video games where you have way more guns than you would. But if someone asked for that and like you drew where they like have like a basket on their back that's just filled with different spears and guns, and
it kind of cracked me up. I did a kind of a cool thing with that one. It was like he had like a giant axe like on his back, and then like he was like carrying the 2 in his hand, and then like was like all the spears were like into the ground behind him.
Oh, that's pretty rad. See, that's a smart way to do it. I'd be a smart ass about it, and they'd be like, I do not appreciate that.
Give him 7 arms holding 7 spears.
Not like trying to be a smart ass, more just being a dumbass about it, I guess.
It's funny.
I think it'd be good.
Yeah, but this one sounds pretty fun. And
Very
then,
cool.
And the other one's like kind of in the works. Like the guy just messaged me, and it sounds like he's like not exactly sure what he wants yet, but he's like kind of figuring out like back and forth with me. So. But those are fun. It's always fun having like those kind of things are always fun too, because that like ends up replacing a lot of my time of like the random doodle stuff, which I do love. I love to draw the characters that I love to draw, but like having like stuff from other people is like, it's like a practice of things you wouldn't usually draw almost, is like what I equate that to.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's a great idea because I don't know, especially for me, I think it would be cool learning how to sort of please a client while giving them what they want, which is you doing what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, that in itself, I think, is a pretty cool thing. So yeah, so for plans for me, once again, this is where the problem comes in of being so tunnel vision with my current project. I haven't thought too much about it, but once I get that sent off tonight, that's really just going to kind of open me up to focus on October. And I guess since he kind of brought it up on air, I can talk about it a little bit. But if you guys haven't watched, our last show featured Chris Rao. R-A-U is how you spell the last name. And if you search for him on Kickstarter, he's got a successful Kickstarter that still has a lot of time to fund. Usually does pretty cool stuff with it when it does overfund, and this isn't his first rodeo. So look that up. It's called I Had a Nightmare by Chris Rao, and I apologize, I forget the writer's name, and the writer's, a really big portion of this one. But anyway, he got, I'm sorry?
Paul Donovan.
Paul Donovan, thank you. Sorry, I should have asked. Paul Donovan and Chris Rao. Anyway, Chris kind of talked about his sort of plans for the future of wanting to not just be outputting books, but working with other artists and under his sort of Rao publishing kind of a thing, it sounded like, and was interested in October and the format fitting kind of his square format of his other book. And it's actually been a little bit hard having tunnel vision like I've wanted to, because I haven't been able to stop thinking about that whole thing, because it sounds like a lot of fun, and I think we're definitely going to explore that and run with it and see what happens. And I feel like that's another one where it's like a good homework assignment, since we are people who know each other and it's not like complete strangers. It'd be a fun way to kind of learn the biz a little bit by, crossing our T's and dotting the I's and figuring stuff out beforehand. And then, I don't know, it just sounds like a mutually beneficial thing. It sounds like that he seemed excited about. So I'm really wanting to, I don't know, kind of not pressure in a bad way, but really kind of goes, okay, let's really make this story good. So really excited to hit the ground running. I mentioned before, I'm in my 100 days of making comics, and today I do want to count this as my video so I don't have to do another one. I actually forgot to mention it last Tuesday, but today is my day 76, I believe. And like I said, I'll be, I've been working on finishing up and uploading and figuring out the stuff for Mr. Green's Monster Zine. So when I finish up here, I'll finish uploading that. And then I want to just kind of revisit the murder board and just get something written down in the notebook to just get that ball rolling again. Because this week I just really want to hit the ground running on that. So nails or scripting, because I do want to have I want to have the story written out, whether it's like a full-blown, professional looking comic script, or it just at least me being able to have the story written down as like a roadmap, I really want to get this going. So sorry, I've been babbling on about that, but yeah, just want to get that going.
No, that's it, man. You've got a lot of, it's that thing we talk about all the time, right? Like having projects, or having products and not just projects, and you're getting down to that part where your projects are turning into those products, and that's awesome.
It's a lot of fun, and it was really cool. I got to say, no matter what happens, it was ultimately very flattering to have Chris Rao say that he'd be interested in something like that. And I think one of the most beneficial things is the idea that someone besides myself would be invested in the artwork, like in the product. Like, right. He wouldn't want his name to be put on something bad. So you can guarantee if I had questions on how to make it better, he'd have input. You know what I mean?
Right. He wouldn't be
in his own right. Setting aside the fact that he's got been successfully doing this and has like a much bigger sort of fan base than I do, and that's all great stuff and everything. But for me, the idea that at this point in my career, another person like I just that would be like invested in making sure what I was doing was something that was good and not just done, so to like push to that next level of completeness.
I mean, that's a good point that you make of like he talked about that a lot in our last episode. I like that of like having a partner basically along with you, because then like it's like a quality control thing. It's like you have two people who are like if you do a dumb idea, but you're like, whatever, I just need to get this done. You have that other person be like, oh, wait, that's not worth sacrificing. I don't like, we need to make sure that looks different kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I'm down with someone, like we're getting better. Even I think about being able to give honest opinions about stuff and, you know, to help each other get better and that sort of a thing. And especially when you, and for any honest critiques, especially anymore where there are a lot of people concerned with not offending people.
Yeah.
Like if you really want a critique, like you really kind of have to ask for it and go, what do you think of this? No, really. Like, do you have thoughts? Can it be better? I'm allowing you to be mean to me if you need to. Like you really got to kind of lay it out for people, you know, what you want from them if you're wanting a critique. But like I said, in a situation like this, you know, there wouldn't be any hurt feelings. It would be like, okay, how do we just make a cool, like the best thing that can be made?
Yeah. Like,
you know,
we're just making a top-notch product, so whatever we got to do, let's do it.
Exactly. So it's cool, the idea of someone else being excited about what you're excited about, you know.
Yeah.
I think that comes down to. Which is why I just want to say real quick, I think the idea, like all of us on an indie level, but like not image indie or things like that, but like really, really independent.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hear on our level of like editors on books, really.
Right.
And I wonder if that's something that could and like should change. Like as like you're working on a book, like you edit mine and I edit yours. And like we learn about what that means. And, you know, because, you know, there's different editors, ones who just kind of let you do your thing and just go, yeah, it looks good. Make sure to turn these pages by this time and just help keep you on schedule. And other ones really give you feedback on if things are tracking or not, or just like little ideas. And it's like, I don't know, it just seems like an interesting way to, yeah, like even like if you really and truly are doing your own project, and I really and truly doing my own project, you know, it has another person who's not emotional, but personally invested in helping you make something better, you know?
Right.
It seems like that could be a good thing. But like in the e11s and all those groups, it seems like, yeah, start just asking the guy next to you, hey, will you be my editor maybe? I don't know. It'd be cool to kind of start seeing that trend because, you know, editors can be like really useful for comics, you know?
No, I mean, that's definitely, you make the solid point. And I've actually heard some people lately on some podcasts kind of talking about just the critique thing and like what that should actually look like. It's like once you get to a certain point in your art, you realize it's important, but so many people don't really know what it looks like or what they actually want from a critique.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, you're asking me to critique this and I have lots of thoughts, but do you actually want to hear that? Or are you just trying to get like someone to be like, okay, yeah, man, you're so cool, keep it up.
Yeah, and that's why, like, maybe, you know, like, and being more specific about what you want, and just using it as an example here, but if I'm like, David, will you edit this book for me? What I'm looking for out of an editor is something like this, you know?
Yeah.
You know, if you're like, I'm really just needing someone to make sure I keep a tight schedule because I need someone to be held accountable to. Excuse me. Anyway, especially for, you know, folks who are trying to like learn the biz and learn different aspects of it, and just that whole idea again of like homework, you know, it seems like it would be interesting and fun. His like big runs on X-Men, and I'm sorry I forget the names of the people that were his editors, but he credits, you know, his editor, you know, as much as like what him and his artists were doing with how successful his run on X-Men went. So I mean, they're important.
Well,
it seems like it'd be fun to help somebody make their project cool. I've never had a problem with like, if someone was like, stand here, now wait for the pie to hit you in the face so then everyone laughs and we'll film it. And you're like, okay, whatever you want, man.
Yeah.
This will be fun.
Well, I think it also just goes back to like our dynamic we have with I'd rather be drawing just in general. And it's like, even though we're making our own products, we have to think more maybe about sort of like what that means and sort of like in terms of like making our team, or yeah, I don't know, you know what I'm saying, kind of thing. Like yeah, I made this product, but I'd rather be drawing as making this product. So it's like, maybe like we should do more of that to like cut things across each other's desks and stuff when we're like building things and stuff like that. Yeah,
you know, I think it, you know, I don't really see that as being a bad thing, you know.
I see it as being like a super beneficial thing. It's kind of like exactly what you're saying. It's just extra layers. It's like, okay, just because it's my personal project or whatever, it doesn't mean that I need to be like willing to like make that thing the best thing it can. And the more like too many eyes can be a bad thing, but an extra eye is always a good thing, I think.
I think so. Yeah, you don't want too many cooks in the kitchen, but you know, another perspective.
Yeah.
And especially like when you know, and especially at our level, if I'm editing your book, it's not like I'm really coming from a place of like sales or this or that. It's like, here's an opinion on these pages, you know, do what you think, or, you know, there's some actual misspellings here, you know, that's what I mean. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, that's,
you know, something that we're all learning. You wouldn't want somebody, you know, to like, who's overbearing and really kind of want to like make their mark on your book, I guess, if you're not really looking for that, obviously. But with like what you and I do here on I'd Rather Be Drawing, I see that a lot more like with other people from like the 100s and elsewhere, where they are kind of like buddy system, you know, finding a person to kind of run with, because like it's a big crowd of us now and the crowd's getting bigger and bigger, but it's like, I don't want to get lost here, hold on, we'll help each other out, I got your back, you got mine.
Right.
Seems like that's, you know, almost the next logical step of making our level of indie comics that much better for consumers too, you know.
Well, it's just like that. I think the biggest point to make is like, and you're, like as an editor or whatever the point you're making, we're kind of just talking now, and I like that, but like you just, that's like, you're doing this thing in your basement all by yourself, and you don't even realize that you didn't just spell a thing wrong, but like you said this character was born and raised here or whatever, and then all of a sudden, you know, like you're saying something different on another, you know what I mean, like things like that, or like you're in a hurry because you don't care, so you're just like slapping font on the page, and then that other guy's like, dude, these boxes look horrible, and like they're sideways, and like your words feel cramped, like things like that. You look past as an artist sometimes because you're just trying to get your book together.
Absolutely. Even something as simple as, like you said before, like in the artwork, like if you have like Jeff Lafferty, who just got a book funded on Indiegogo. Yeah, I'll pimp anybody's art on this for sure. But I don't know if you followed him, but he has great art channel on here called the Artcast.
Yeah.
But Jeff Lafferty just got the Berserkernaut funded on Indiegogo, and I think it's still in demand, so I think you can still find it. And he does the whole thing by hand, like the ink, and then actually like paints every panel and everything. But his character, big metal arm. And he said doing himself, and he's just rolling forward on doing the art and getting the comic done. He didn't know how many times where he like got the robot arm on the wrong side for the shot, and was like, damn it, would have to go back and fix that. I mean, even just simple stuff like that for an editor, just to make sure continuity is going and your idea is tracking and like makes sense, you know. I've had that happen where like I thought something was totally obvious, and someone's like, what's happening here? And you have to explain it, and they're like, you know, that's a huge thing. And you know, I've heard more and more people talk about the next evolution in like just making indie comics really cool, which there's been awesome strides with graphic novels, and places like Barnes and Nobles and bookstores came, and all of those have gotten huge, almost on the same level as the mainstream one. Consider that to a certain degree. So it's like, how do we make our just made in my own, you know, corner of the galaxy book, you know, good enough to really be out there? I don't know.
I love that. Cool. So, like we said, this wasn't going to be a long talk, guys. We both had a really long week, and we just kind of wanted to catch up and do our thing. But I think it's like you said, like we could babble all night if we let each other. But I think it's a good place to stop. So just like the idea of like not being afraid to reach out to whoever is in your circle to help you with your personal projects, right?
Absolutely. Help each other stay afloat.
Stay afloat.
All right, so this is a quick when we're not here on I'd Rather Be Drawing on Facebook, where can we find you, David?
Hold on, I didn't want to derail it too quickly. Let's take a quick 5 minute and let's just jump in and make sure we didn't ignore any comments.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I get really bad about that. Let's see here.
That's why I just thought about it, and then we can do our thing. Let's see.
Oh yeah, sorry. It was way back when I was talking about Chris Rao wanting to kind of publish more, wanting a stable of artists for his publishing company, which I think is a great idea. And when he described his vision with like the square books, like he's already made Magnus and he's got another book for him, like when he described that whole thing and the packaging for it and how this next book is going to be in that, and then described how he thought mine would, like it immediately sort of clicked when he said it. And that, you know, I was like, wow, that would be kind of cool. It's, you know, this same line of books, you know, having that same feel and everything, but then getting some different looks out of it. You know, I can see the value in that. I like that he's a big thinker. But
am I in the chat?
Pimp my art. He says Chris Rao, the art pimp. I'm okay with that.
I am also in the shower. Yeah, I've been doing this whole interview from the shower. I feel like I critique too much. That's actually a really good point too. That's a hard thing when a friend asks you like look at this and critique it. You're like I guess that's another good point to make as we like close up is like when you ask for a critique, ask what you're looking for in the critique. Like
I think it's important because even with you and I, David, you do want to be supportive, and you don't, you know, and sometimes the people, you can tell when they hand you something and go, hey, what do you think? At that point, they're just really looking for you to go, wow, I acknowledge that you spent a lot of time on that, and that looks really damn cool. And they're like, sweet, and they move along.
Right.
But if you're really wanting someone to like, you know, I have a couple people in mind, some like artists that I admire, like in the 100s and stuff, like kind of have been putting off wanting to like direct message and just say, hey, I'd love to send you a book for free, and I'd love for you to just like tear me apart, like make me feel bad, tell me I should, you know, get out of this if you want to. I don't care. At this point, it'll probably just make me want to do it that much more, and I just really want to know at a certain point, like in a mean way, like,
where I'm at now.
You know?
That's like another. That's a huge thing for me. I think for some people it's hard to have that kind of mindset, but like it's like the mindset of growth. Like here's a cheesy analogy, and then we'll end this talk with this. But my favorite kind of game to play right now is a fighting game. When you're playing a fighting game, you learn the most from the dude who like whoops your butt. Like when you get beat real bad, you want to watch that replay and like see what the heck that did so much different from you. And like getting beat too, like really bad is like, oh my gosh, that's how good you can get this game. Like there's like that kind of feeling, you know? So it's like you don't know where you're at until you've like had someone kind of put you in your place sometimes where you're like, oh man, I've been getting so good at my art. My portraits are awesome. And then you like flip open Instagram and that dude that you follow just post something that just like blows your mind. You're like, oh yeah, nope, just kidding. Yep, I've got tons to learn.
For people that went to art school, and you're one of those people, I've heard a similar sort of story to that, of there being like an art teacher that at the time that you were in their class, you're just kind of like, geez, this guy is a jerk. Why has he got to be so pushy? Why is he like tearing up people's drawings after the critiques and being such a harsh person about this? And then after the class, like maybe even years later, like you find yourself like really going back to the lessons that teacher taught, and even like as you critique others, having those same, I don't know, like being like, damn, I really learned a lot from that guy. He was mean, but man, I really learned a lot.
Yeah, I did. I straight up had one of those.
Yeah. It's that, you know, it's not, it might not always be pleasant, but it's, you know, informative.
Yeah, it was like one of those like, oh man, I just realized like what it's like, and it's funny because it's a problem with that kind of person also at the same time of like not realizing how to communicate his harshness. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like you can tear a person's drawing apart and then build it back up and show them the path to take. And for a lot of people who are that good, they only see that, and they're like they can't put themselves in your shoes to realize that you don't even see it. If you're just like, dude, take it easy. And it's like, oh, you meant that because like you realized where I could grow and all this other kind of stuff, but you like never get that communicated from that person. You're like, thought he was just a dick, but really he was trying to help you out.
For sure. And like a good thing, you know, an easy like rule I think with critiques for anybody out there is the whole like sandwich method, which is going, wow, I really love these inks, it looks like this proportion's off just a little bit right over here. But man, this splatter part you did over here looks really cool and helps make this pop.
Right.
So like, and it's not just to like, you know, it's hopefully like you're being truthful about all of those things, but it is sort of cushioning the blow a little bit, which artists have egos, and it is nice to know the things that are working as well as the things that aren't working. But just as far as putting it in a frame where like I want to help, but I'm here to be helpful and not to tear down, the sandwich or Oreo method is quite nice for that.
Ooh, what about the double stuffed Oreo method where you have to put two? And I'm just messing around.
No, that's even better. Or like the Halloween Oreos.
It has to be an orange comment, or it doesn't count.
Yeah, you have to say it like Dracula. I love this part.
I'm sorry, but orange is not a creative color. You lose.
And then going, kind of jumping back and forth here, back to the Rao publishing idea. He says he or Rao just needs more people to do art so he can get more projects out. So like when Ace would throw out a story and an artist who dug it could pick up the story. It reminds me of the Marvel bullpen, but being there from KC, I think he should call it like the Rao Stockyards, and all the artists and writers and everything would be part of the Stockyards. We'll get a whole new bullpen going, but the Stockyard.
Subdivision of I'd Rather Be Drawing. Didn't he tell us he'd let us put our logo in invisible ink, but I think urine would be the thing to make it appear.
Yeah, but don't worry. I have a recipe for appearing ink, so I think we're set.
Yeah. But
now, how even much cooler would that be? Like if I did like have you edit the book or whatever, and that way we really could, you know, it could be an I'd Rather Be Drawing sort of release through Rao Publishing. You know, I think that would be cool. And having another pair of eyes on the book, I'd be interested in. But
awesome. All right. I like that. That's a good place to stop. We covered the comments. We did our thing. We stayed on for longer than we meant to, like we always do, because we could talk all night.
Yeah, we want to cut this one short, so we cut it short by 10 minutes.
Right.
Hey, thank you guys very much for joining us. It really is awesome having folks in the chat to be able to bounce things off of. So thanks for joining us.
So where can we find you, Scott?
Oh, how did that happen? Okay, yeah. Instagram, Mr. Green Draws, mr.greendraws. Instagram's the best place to find me, where I'm doing my 100 Days of Making Comics. If you don't see the videos here, today's my day 76. The rest are on IGTV. How about you, David?
Find me on Instagram. I always say Art of Mr. Fleming. If you really don't have Instagram, find me on Facebook. I do post pretty much the same stuff. I have been trying lately to try and post a little bit different on both platforms, but really it's like one of those things where when you're part-time like we are, we spend just enough time on social media, but it's hard to be all over the place. And here's another little thing for people out there. I just found out about this thing called Linktree. It's pretty fantastic. Instagram only lets you put one link in your profile, but it links you basically to like a homepage that I can put as many links as I want to, and you'll find the YouTube channel, my shop, my Facebook, and just like our website. It's like all in one on like a landing page, and I love it. So yeah, check out that on my Instagram, and if you're an artist or anybody like that, you should use it because I love that.
Search Linktree.
Yeah, it's called Linktree, but it's pretty fantastic. So there's my plug.
Pretty awesome. And then as always, there's also I'd Rather Be Drawing.com, and also on Facebook you can find stuff from David and I, and we share other people's artwork and things as well on I'd Rather Be Drawing on Facebook. So if you search I'd Rather Be Drawing anywhere on the internet, you should find David and I there. So
oh yeah,
check that out.
Somehow we own that. What's up?
Hope how that happened.
All right. Well, thanks a lot once again, guys. Just thanks for hanging out, and we hope to see you guys next week. Peace.
Bye, everybody.